Welcome back to the Brain Mission channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at the curriculum-based test for language arts, and that's for PEP grade 6, and we have 1.5 hours to do it. Just remember that you can download this test paper by clicking on the link in the description, okay? And let's go. Let's jump right in. So, as you know, the instructions here is to your booklet contains 40 questions and the space for you to shade your answer. Shade all answers in the space provided in your booklet. Read each instruction carefully, think about the answers, and then make your choice. Be sure to completely shade the circle that matches the answer you have chosen. Here is the correct way to do it. Completely shade the circle. Here is the incorrect way to do it by putting a tick, X, etc. If you change your answer, erase the first shaded answer completely, then shade in the new answer. 5 user number 2 or HB pencil only. Alright, let's jump in, guys. Here's an example of how we can do it from 1 to 37. It says, which part of speech is underlined in the sentence below? Nancy kicked the red ball. Kicked is underlined. Kick is a verb because it's describing what is that, or it's an action, I'm sorry. Adjective is a description. So it's an action that Nancy kicking the ball or kicked the ball in the past tense. So it's an action word. So that would be a verb. All right. So that's the example. Let's jump in. And we have a passage to read. That's the first thing that we need to do. Let's jump in and read. As a child, the adults in our lives made being a real grown-up look really fun. But you know what? It's not as glamorous as it looks. Also, being an adult comes with loads of responsibilities. As a girl, all I wanted was to eat as many snacks and sweet as my hands could carry. But like most parents, my mom and dad fed me real meals instead of candy and fast food. They told me I had to eat from all the food groups in the correct portions. That meant eat your vegetables. Yuck. I used to think it would be fun to have a job, own a car, and live in my own house. Having a job makes you tired. Cars are expensive. Monthly payments, insurance, and gas add up quickly. Plus, who wants to be spending most of their money paying bills like light, water, cable, internet, and groceries? Being a child is the best part of anyone's life. So when someone asks you what you want to be when you grow up, give them a well thought out answer. Tell them you never want to grow up. Wow, that's funny. All right, let's look at the questions. So the writer sees which stage of life as the most fun. Of course, that would be childhood, right? So I've already selected an answer for that. 2. How did the writer feel about healthy eating? She was not fond of it, right? So I selected A, I'm sorry, for 2. So which signal word is used to indicate the resolution of the story? So I selected C for so because so was right here. So when someone asks you, so I just use that this is the signal word, so I chose so, right? So that was number 3. Number 4, which best summarizes the writer's views? I selected enjoy your life while you're young. That's B. All right. Here's another passage we need to read. It says, here is something to think about. Many persons around the world eat lunch at 12 noon. However, there is no scientific evidence to suggest that there is a fixed lunchtime. Some doctors and dietitians agree that the best time to eat during the day is when you're hungry, irrespective of whether it is before or afternoon. There are many factors that will help to determine what time of the day a person will be hungry. For instance, most persons tend to skip breakfast or have something light to eat. Those who skip breakfast may be hungry sooner than those who didn't. Persons who ate breakfast are likely to become hungry between 3 and 4 hours after they have eaten, right? Additionally, schools often begin between 8 and 9, right, in the morning, and lunchtime is usually 3 to 4 hours after. Persons who work usually begin their day between 8 and 8:30 in the morning. Lunchtime for them is usually at 12 noon. or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it is fairly accurate to say that school and work have played a role in determining when we are able to have lunch. Wow, yeah, that's food for thought. Okay, so number five, the word used to begin paragraph 3 is a connective. Right, because it says additionally school. So that paragraph there, paragraph 3, I'm sorry, is additionally, which is connective. So that definitely is a connective word. What is the main idea in the passage? I chose lunchtime is usually at noon. So I think that's it. Okay. Um, let's move on. The statement below is from the passage which best describe it. All right, so it says school and work have played a role in determining when we are able to have lunch. I would say that's a conclusion. What would you say? So that's definitely an answer for me. So read the passage carefully, then use it to answer item 8 to 11. Okay, so John was feeling blue because it had been raining all day at the seaside hotel. He stared sadly towards the sea. The waves inched nearer and nearer to the tent he had excitedly erected on the beach yesterday with his father. The sea was plotting with the rain to ruin his birthday plans. A burst of laughter from his friends nearby dragged him back to reality. They were already in the clubhouse playing video games, watching movies, and exchanging jokes. He turned his back on his troubles and reluctantly embraced the evening ahead. He figured it was better to get on with it in this boring clubhouse than to not have the party at all. Okay, so what occasion did John and his friends plan to celebrate? His birthday, of course. Okay, that's what I got from that. All right, what figure of speech is used in the sea was plotting with the rain metaphor? The sea can't really plot with the rain, right? So it must be a metaphor. All right, what does the word blue means as used in line 1? So line 1, blue. Okay, feeling blue. Okay, was feeling sad. So that John was feeling sad. When I'm feeling blue, right? All right, what is meant by he turned his back on his troubles and reluctantly embraced the evening ahead? I would say that he had given up on having the party on the beach. He's now gonna go to the clubhouse. So that would be B. Okay. All right. For the interest of time, I've already added the answer, guys. So there's another passage. This one is called the Panama Canal. It says read the passage carefully, then use it to answer 12 to 16. So the Panama Canal is a shipping route which significantly reduces the time a ship would spend sailing from countries like China to the United States and the Caribbean by connecting the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. The canal is like a toll road for ships, and in that, for a fee, ships can take a shortcut from the eastern part of the world to the western part. Work to construct the canal was first started by French engineers in 1881. However, the work was hampered by several setbacks such as disagreements about the design of the canal and how to keep the workers safe on the job. Laborers who came from many different countries, including Jamaica, lost their lives as a result of accidents on the job and tropical disease like malaria and yellow fever. But working on the canal offered better opportunities than working at home. In 1904, the United States took over the construction of the canal. It was eventually completed in 1914. Annual traffic in 1914 was like 1,000 ships. By 2012, more than 815,000 vessels had passed through the canal. It takes almost 12 hours to pass through the Panama Canal. This is really good since traveling the alternative route going around South America would take 2 weeks. Wow, that's really food for thought. Now, the Panama Canal was benefit to ships coming from which location? Remember, it said China, so I chose China. When was work first started on the Panama Canal? It says 1881, right? So I chose 1881, and it was by the French engineers, right? Which punctuation mark should be inserted at the two asterisks that we see here in line 4? So if you remember serves you right in line 4 here, I would say open and close quotations would be that. So I chose these. All right. Um, what is traffic in line 14 used in reference to? I say ship because the traffic would be in line 14. The traffic, annual ships was 1,000. So we're talking about the traffic of the ships. So I chose ships. Okay. All right. For 16, which best suggests what hampered in line 7 means? I know you know hamper means slowed down, but you can actually read the passage and you will see what hampered means as it says in line 7. You know, line 7 would be about here. It says the work was hampered by several setbacks. So, you know, it's slowed down by several setbacks. So that definitely should be the answer, which is slowed down. All right, let's jump into 17 to 21 and we're going to read another passage. A lot of passages to read. Okay, so Greg was in his online class listening to his teacher, Mrs. Barnes. She was explaining the importance of continuing to work hard in school. After all, today was career day. The students were dressed as doctors, attorneys, teachers, mechanics, and pilots. Mrs. Barnes continued to address the class. And as you get ready to move on to high school, please be reminded that you will have to continue to work hard in order to maintain those grades. That's Mrs. Barnes, right? Greg was hearing his teacher's voice, but his mind drifted away. He was thinking about a YouTube vlogger named Ryan Kahai, who was 9 years old. Greg was 3 years older than he was. Ryan had a YouTube channel called Ryan's World that his mom and dad helped him to set up and operate. The channel has over 27 million subscribers. On the channel, Ryan is the host who provides reviews on toys made by various manufacturers. Some of these manufacturers would send their toys to Ryan to review just before they made them available to the public. Videos of Ryan reviewing the toys would then be made. The result was a three-way benefit. The toy manufacturers would make improvements to the toys based on Ryan's recommendations. Children would ask their parents to buy the toys that Ryan gave a 5-star rating, and Ryan would get paid for all his hard work. He and his parents were quite a team. Mrs. Barnes' voice jolted Greg back from his daydreaming. There are many careers that are awaiting you out there. Some are traditional and others are waiting to be discovered. But remember, being prepared allows you to take advantage of opportunities. Doing well in school is still the best way to be prepared. And I agree. Right. So, question number 17. Who is telling the story? I would say it's a narrator, right? It's not Greg. It's not a vlogger. It's not Mrs. Barnes. It's a narrator, right? So I chose narrator. All right, 18. Which best explains why the manufacturers would want to improve their products? To sell more toys, of course, right? They're not gonna get more subscribers, etc. All right, 19. Which is evidence of the popularity of Ryan's World? I chose the channel has over 27 million subscribers, so that's definitely showing that it's popular, right? What idea is being conveyed by Mrs. Barnes in the last 3 sentences of the passage? So the last 3 sentences would be there are many careers. So this is telling you that you need to be prepared. So I can go back down and select that. The last 3 sentences. Education is still very important. So I definitely chose D, right? 21. Which best explains why Ryan's World is so successful? I chose Ryan's World helps buyers to make better choices. So that's what I chose for that one. All right. Let's jump to 22 to 26 and we have to read again. It says pipe water versus bottled water. Can you drink the water straight from the pipe in Jamaica? Short answer, yes. Water from the pipe is often healthier for you. That is something worth knowing. Jamaica's water management protocols require frequent testing of water from the pipe for microorganisms such as E. coli, and other harmful contaminants. So yes, in Jamaica you can stick your glass under a pipe, fill it up, and chug it down with no worries. You may already know this, but it's worth repeating here, I should say. Bottled water is often simply just treated pipe water camouflaged by fancy labels and promoted by celebrities, right? There is no obligation for bottled water manufacturers to disclose the source of the bottled water unless it is mineral or spring water. Therefore, the costly bottle of water might be the same thing you could have had right out of your own kitchen pipe. That's funny, right? All right. What part of speech is that in line 2? I say it's pronoun, right? In line 2 right here, that is something worth knowing. That's pronoun, which best explains why an exclamation mark is used in line 2. I say the writer is scared, right? That's what I have here. All right. Um, let's move on. What kind of noun is obligation in line 9? So the noun I have is an abstract noun. I think it's obligation right here in line 9. It's an abstract noun. All right. Um, which word could best replace camouflage? Masked. So you know if you camouflage like the lizard, like changing, adapting to the environment, it's a mask. I definitely know that that's it. 26. Which best describe the writer's view? I would say Jamaica's pipe water is just as good as bottled water. So I selected C. All right. Examine and read the information in the two sources carefully. Use them to answer item 27 to 30. So we have source 1 here and it's showing like reasons people call the fire station. So we have medical emergency, other reasons, animal rescue, false claims, fires, motor vehicle, and accidents. An accident seems to be the biggest chunk, followed by medical, then other reasons, and then the others are here. The percentages are showing. Let's look at source 2. It says the jaws of life. So the Hearst rescue tool was invented by George Hearst in about 1961 after he saw a car race accident in which it took workers over an hour to remove an injured driver from his car. In the past, rescuers included firefighters, often used circular saws to rescue people who had been trapped in their cars after an accident. These saws had several disadvantages. Saws can create sparks, which could start a fire, create loud sounds, stress the victim or victims, and often cut slowly. On the other hand, rescuers could try to pry open the vehicle doors with a crowbar or Halligan bar, but this could also damage the vehicle or injure the victims further. In comparison, hydraulics spreader cutters are quieter, faster, stronger, and more versatile. They can cut open and even lift a vehicle. The hydraulic spreader was originally developed in 1972 by Tim Smith and Mike Brick, employees of Hearst Products. They further developed the spreader in about 1976 to cut and pry apart metals. It is now used by many rescuers. When an occupant is trapped, the tool is used to pry or cut the car to remove the occupant. It takes about 2 minutes to take the roof off a car. Mike Brick made up the phrase jaws of life after he observed people saying that their new device snatch people from the jaws of death. He then used the name as a registered brand name for Hearst products. Wow, very interesting, right? All right, so what is meant by false alarms as used in source 1? I'll say non-emergency calls. So it's an emergency line. So you're calling when it's not an emergency. That's a false alarm. All right, so why were crowbars not the best tools? I would say they're not safe because remember, you're prying. It stated that it can injure the occupants in the car, right? Remember? What do firefighters spend most of their time doing? I would say rescuing accident victims because remember, it shows here that 39% of the time, which is the highest percentage, they're actually motor vehicle accidents that they're attending to, right? All right, which conclusion can best be drawn after reading both sources? So both sources, operative word, both sources. Firemen respond to different kinds of emergencies would be what I chose, right, as the answer. All right, we're on to 31 to 34. Almost finished, guys. So read the poem carefully, then use it to answer item 31 to 34. Reflection of wrecked kites. Okay, on the sagging telephone wires just outside my window hang the corpse of what were once 3 joyous little kites. Only a few days ago they were describing fussy little arcs up there in the blue, bobbing and buzzing. They soared as they flew, and now they look for forlorn, so pitiful, hanging there limply, their flat silly heads waggling in the breeze, their scraggy tails twined around the swaying wires, their happy function frustrated, their brief day done. Alright, so where did the writer first see the kites? First saw them in the blue, like what it says up there in the blue. Alright, which is an example of contrast. I say bobbing and buzzing, hagging. Because if you're looking at bobbing and buzzing, it's like sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. So to me, that's contrast. 33. How does the poet feel about the kites? I think he's sympathetic based on what I read. 34. Although the poem talks about kites, there's a deeper meaning to it, which best describe what the deeper meaning is. I would say life and death. So the kites were up there having fun, and then finally, they're caught under the wires. So that's life and death. Okay, we're now down to 35 to 39, and it's a Cardiff beach. One more passage to read. It's a whole bunch to read, guys. So let's jump in. The sun appeared over the mountains, painting the landscape in gold. It warmed the morning dew on the grass and lifted the cloak of darkness. Giselle, her younger brother, Sean, and their parents were on their way to Cardiff Beach. They were now close to the beach. You could tell because of the smell of the sea. Its fragrance was hard to describe, but it smelled like something that was good for your lungs. It was not only the sea that made them feel cool. There were not so tall coconut trees and a large almond tree that lined the entrance of the beach, as well as the beach itself. The almond trees on the beach offered lots of shades. In the shade, families gathered, ate home-cooked meals, played dominoes, children laughed, and enjoyed each other's company. A selector named Uptop Boss entertained everyone. His playlist included hits from Agent Sasko, Protege, and Queen Ifrica. A group of blackbirds was also having their picnic. Their chatter was a noisy chorus as they competed for the crumbs that fell from the picnic tables. A little girl of about 3 years was fascinated with them. She distributed crumbs from the cake she was eating to them, and they were delighted to have it. But on the distant horizon, a dark cloud gathered. No one seemed to notice until there was a flash of lightning and a roar of thunder. The rain came upon the beachgoers as a surprise. Small, almost unnoticeable droplets, then gradually increasing in number and volume. The rain came down suddenly, sending everyone scampering for cover. Even the large almond tree that did a good job of blocking out the sun was no match for the heavy afternoon downpour. Giselle and her family ran back to the car to escape the heavy downpour. Then, just as suddenly as it came, it stopped. Out came the sun again, and as if it had never been gone, but only masked by the clouds, and the wind came again like a director in a play, and the sun and the rain were actors playing out the script. Wow, very nice. I like the story. All right, so 35. Which element of story writing is most evident in the story? I'll say a setting. It's kind of describing a setting. It's telling you the beach and all of that family gathering. So I chose setting. In which paragraph does the mood of the story change for the second time? I chose paragraph 5 because in paragraph 5 I noticed that it changed again for the second time where, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where the sun is coming out again. Just as soon as it left, it came back. So I chose paragraph 5. What 37? What is being suggested by the sun appeared over the mountain, painting the landscape in gold? It means that it was early morning and the sun was rising. Okay, that's what I chose. So we're down to the finals. Yay! So instruction for item 38 to 40, indicate your response by shading the letter in the sentence or paragraph that makes it correct. Each letter corresponds to a word expression from a given list of options. An example is given below. Example: use the list of options given below to complete the sentences that follow. Indicate your response by shading the appropriate circle that makes each sentence correct. Okay, so we have some group answers here. So here's an example. So it says Brook Valley Primary is the winner. So it would be is, I'll say B for this one. The winner of the basketball competition. They dash now. They have now won the competition 3 years in a row. I would say have would be C, so I'll select C. So that's how the group answers work. All right, so let's go on to the real thing. That was just a practice. For item number 38, match the word choice which correctly corresponds with each sentence from the story. Cardiff Beach. Look closely at the options given before making your selection. Word choices are climax, resolution, setting, and characters. So, out came the sun again as if it had never been gone but only masked by the clouds. I would say that's a setting, right? So I selected C. Giselle, her younger brother, Sean, and their parents were on their way to Cardiff Beach. I said that these are characters, right? And then, but on the distant horizon, a dark cloud gathered. That's why I said that's a climax. So that was a climax there. That is when the rain started coming down. So you know that, oops. Right. So, okay, use the word choices. Now we're on to 39 to 40. It says use the word choices A to P below to correctly complete the paragraph which follows. Look closely at the option given for each section before making your selection. So you have A to D, then F, E to H, then I to L, then M to P. It says paragraph. Cardiff Beach is an example of, I would say, publishing, right? In the writing process, that is, the writer uses, I would say, this one is D. So editing in the first sentences, right? In the first sentence, I'm sorry. All right, this helps the reader to better. No, I'm sorry, not editing. I think this one I have here is figurative language. I think that's what I have here. So you can actually envision what's happening. So this should be figurative language right here, which is H. All right, and then we have the IJLK. This one, where the story is taking place, and it's also a useful technique. So I would say this one, IJK, is visualized. So it helps you if you put the figurative language, it helps you to visualize what's happening. All right, and then for the last one here, it is MNOP. I choose M because I think it's more detail. So it gives you more detail to look at when it's presented like that. So those are my answers. I wonder what yours gonna be. All right, so I'm at the end. Okay, this is a long one, right? A report was written based on the sale of items at the canteen at New Leaf Primary School. So study the table showing information gathered about the number of the items sold at the canteen. Then use the information to help you decide which option to use to fill in the blanks in the report. Each option should only be used once. Okay, clear. All right, so we have the type of food, the days, and then the total at the end, and then the total. So this is the total for each group of food or each food, and then the total of all the days to the bottom here. So let's go. So it says use the table and word choices A to L below to correctly complete the report, which follows. Each option should only be used once. Word choices, you have pizza, beef patties, etc. So report. A close look at the table shows that for ABC is the most popular item. The most popular item I have as D, that's fried chicken. Why? Because the total persons buying fried chicken is over 500, so that's definitely the most popular. All right, bought by the students at New Leaf Primary School, while is the least popular. So I chose C is the least popular because bun and cheese, as you see, is only 105. So I chose that. All right, sold are most always the same. So it says the least popular. The number of dash, I chose B, which is beef patties sold are almost always the same for the period being examined. So if you look at beef patties, it's 60, 62. It's always almost the same thing, right? Everything else seems to fluctuate, but look, sometimes it's just one or two separate. So I'll say beef patties. That's why I chose beef patties right there. All right, of the 5 days, sales are the lowest on what day? Sales are the lowest on, I think I have Monday here, right? So it would be E. Because if you check it out, Monday, the sales, what? 193 in comparison to the other days, right? This is 194, 205. So that's Monday. All right. And the highest on, I think I have here EFGH, that would be Friday. So Friday is 241. So that definitely is the highest, right? To all the days. All right. It is also important to note that both pizza and fried chicken have been, and there has been an increase. So if you look at both pizza, it increases over days. And if you look at fried chicken, it increases over the days as well. So that's why I chose an increase. All right. And I think that's it. And here are the answers down here, guys. I've already put them down here for you as well. And remember that you can download this test paper free of cost by clicking in the description. Let me know how you did as well. All right. And thanks again. Remember to like, subscribe, share it with everybody who wants to, kind of test out their wits on the PEP language arts. See you. Have a wonderful day.